All right, so let's start off with some homework problems here. So on assignment 2H, number 1. So we're to find y prime. So you know that means taking the derivative with respect to x, right? So I'm just going to write it in. Take the derivative with respect to x. Take the derivative with respect to x. So that means x is the base letter, right? So if I'm taking the derivative of an x thing, I just do the regular power rule. So the derivative of, with respect to x of just x is just 1. That's the easy power rule. Derivative with respect to x of y is dy over dx, or y prime. And then the derivative of this constant is 0. All right, let's move to the other side. So we've got chain rule going on. Derivative of ln of stuff is 1 over stuff times the derivative of this stuff. So times the derivative of this argument of the ln. So that's 2x. Now taking the derivative of y squared, that's going to be chain rule. So 2y to the 1 power times y prime. All right, so let's distribute this, right, to these two terms. So I'd get 2x over x squared plus y squared. Oops, lost the squared there, didn't I? Plus 2y y prime x squared plus y squared. All right, so I'm identifying the two y prime terms. So let's pull them to the left-hand side here. And then I'm going to put this on the other side. All right, so now I'm going to factor out y prime. So I have 1, and then this nice big ugly fraction. And then the last step will be to divide through by this. So y prime will be 2x, x squared plus y squared minus 1 over 1 minus 2y x squared plus y squared. Let's make sure that's what I got. Oh yes, and I'm just showing you algebra things, right? So I'm showing you things that just will come up later in your math life. So if I multiply numerator and denominator by x squared plus y squared, give myself a little room here. So distributing as I go, right? So again, this is a perfectly fine answer, just wanting you to see things. So if I multiply this times this first term, I just get 2x. And if I multiply this times this negative 1, be careful with the subtraction sign. Okay, same thing here. X squared plus y squared. And then here, the x squared plus y squareds cancel. And that's a nice answer too. All right, so that was one of the questions. So let's go to the number 6 on that same homework on H. Number 6. So number 6 says find the derivative and find y prime, but y is equal to minus log of 1 over x. Okay, for sure I would spend some time playing with this logarithm, this one here, and rewriting this, both of them. So this one can be rewritten as ln of x all to the negative 1 power, and this one here, I can rewrite this as x to the negative 1 inside the argument. And I can even go further with this. I know that this exponent here can come down in the front. So still have not taken the derivative yet. So I get plus log x. And you know there's a 10 here if there's nothing written. Okay, now I'm ready to take the derivative. So this negative 1 comes down because of the property. This negative 1 does not come down by a property. When I start to do the derivative, I get negative ln of x to the negative 2 times the derivative of ln of x, which is 1 over x, plus the derivative of log base 10 will be 1 over x times ln of 10. And let me make sure that's the same answer I got. It is, yep. So this can be written as negative 1 over x ln of x squared, right? So same thing, doesn't matter to me. Again, this is completely great. This is great. It doesn't matter to me. Just showing you how it works out. All right, so let's go to number 14, that same assignment. So 14, another challenging implicit differentiation. Okay, so to take the derivative with respect to x, so I get derivative of ln of stuff is 1 over stuff times the derivative of stuff, which I see is the product rule. So first d second plus second d first. Don't have to put the 1 there, I'm just making a point there. So then derivative here, give me 10x, and the derivative here will be 30y prime. All right, so it's necessary for me to distribute this so I can get this y prime term out. So I get xy prime over xy plus y over, xy equal 10x plus 30y prime. All right, so let's do a little bit of simplifying here. So I'd have y prime over y, not equal, plus 1 over x, 10x plus 30y prime. Okay, so now I can see the nice y prime guys. So let's pull them over here. So I have 1 over y prime minus 30y prime, 10x minus 1 over x, factor out the y prime. So then y prime is equal to 10x minus 1 over x, 1 over y minus 30. So that was number 14. And yeah, again, if you wanted to multiply by xy to get rid of the fractions within the fractions, what this means is y prime is equal to 10y minus y in the numerator, right? Multiplying this and multiplying this, and multiplying xy here gives me x, and then minus 30xy. Again, this is a fine answer, or this, doesn't matter to me. All right, so that was 14. So the other one that was requested was 17. Well, that's a good hard one. All right. Number 17. So here's the function. Plus e to the negative x. Okay, so let's remind ourselves. So the derivative of e to the x is just e to the x. So the derivative of e to the stuff, right, is e to the stuff times the derivative of stuff, which will be negative 1. So that turns out to be negative e to the negative x. So that's good to know before we get going. So we're going to do quotient rule, right? So I have low d high. So I'm taking the derivative, so I'm going to say subtract the derivative of this, which will be e to the negative x times negative 1, minus high d low, derivative of the denominator, e to the x plus e to the negative x times negative 1. Square the bottom, and off you go. All right, so let's clean it up a little bit. So these two negatives make a positive, minus e to the x minus e to the negative x. And then this negative comes in. Okay, so let's look at what we've got up here. All right, look at this. So I have a plus b squared, right? So a plus b squared. I want you to be able to do this quickly if this is not already familiar to you, right? And look at this. This is a minus b. So a minus b squared will be a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. All right, so let's do it. So this, using this here, gives me e to the x squared. So let's talk about that. E to the x squared is the same as saying e to the 2x. You multiply numbers when they're separated by parentheses like that. So e to the 2x plus 2 times this times this. Well, that gives me e to the 0. I'm just writing it for effect. You don't have to, but you add their exponents, right? Plus this term here squared. So that gives me e to the negative 2x. All right, so minus, and I'm going to make sure I put parentheses here, e to the x squared, just e to the 2x. And then it's going to be negative 2 times a times b, so negative 2 e to the 0. And then plus e to the negative 2x all over this squared. Never multiply the denominator out. Okay, so let's distribute and get rid of these here, or not, get rid of the e to the zeros, right? So plus 2 plus e to the negative 2x minus e to the 2x, whoops, 2x, and then this makes a plus 2, and this makes a minus e to the negative 2x over this squared. All right, so let's see what's happening. So e to the 2x's, they go away. E to the negative 2x's, they go away. And so what am I left with? A 2 and a 2, right? So y prime is equal to 4 over, there we go. All right, one more request from this section. It was number 19. So use logarithmic differentiation. So x cubed minus 2x all to the ln of x. Okay, so the logarithmic differentiation, first step is to take the ln of both sides. Take the ln of both, of both sides. So I would really strongly suggest you just taking this step to just put ln on both sides. Then move this exponent down in front using the log properties, right? So this ln here is this ln here. And then this one stays here. Okay, so now I'm ready to take the derivative because the question said find y prime, and I'm using log diff, which means take the log or the ln first, then find the derivative. The right-hand side will always have product rule, and the left-hand side will always be implicit differentiation. So I'm taking the derivative, taking d over dx of both sides. So the derivative of this with respect to x is 1 over y prime. This side here, product rule, first, d second, plus second, d first. Okay, so then I'm going to multiply both sides by y. So ln of x, 3x squared minus 2, x cubed minus 2. And then these, just carrying this whole thing along. Okay, and because your question came just with x's, right? It was y equal with x's. You need to replace this with the function that it is. So just take one more step and write that guy in. Huge problems. So logarithmic differentiation, you're going to always have product rule, which means lots of terms. And you're always going to multiply by y in the end.